Good afternoon. Um, it's a pity that Fortinet scared everybody else away. Um, we're not really trying to sell you stuff. So as you know, Francois is one of you. I work for the South African National Research Network. We build and design the network which Tenet operate. So we partner very closely with Tenet. We receive funding from government to build a network, and that's partly why Tenet can give it to you so cheaply. Okay, so that's the network side. On services, it's a little bit more fuzzy. We're supposed to do R&D on services and Tenet operate them. Technically, we both do a little bit of both. So things like EduRoam, we initiated and largely still operate. Video, VC was from Tenet side completely. MConf is on our side, and yeah, there are some services that that overlap a little bit, but we're trying to figure out some handover strategies. In the meantime, we're both doing that, and we appreciate inputs from you guys as to where we should be focusing our efforts. Hello, hello. Okay, maybe the projector doesn't work because we pushed the wrong button, the one that's blank. So that was my fault. Yes, that is what our network looks like. It's a little bit fuzzy on the screen, but most of you and your institutions are connected to it. You'll have 10 gig or 1 gig connections. That is, you know, the overview. So there's no metro networks on this map. What it looks like, but we have a 10 gig backbone. It's in a ring topology, soon going to be a mesh. And we have lots of high bandwidth routes. We've got 20 gigs on WAX and 10 gigs on CCOM, and the backbone is 10 gig rings. So you can probably get 20 gigs to any one point on the network at a time, assuming that there's no link failures. The question is about security. What do we do about it? So, contrary to popular belief, we do not believe in policing the network. If you connect to SANREN or to Tenet, you are connected to the good and the bad internet, to the wild, wild west. We do it that way for a number of reasons. One is we don't want to control you. Two is there's a whole lot of interesting regulations like POPI and the like, which means we can't look at data on the network. And as soon as you start policing the network, you have to inspect the traffic to do something with it. The biggest reason is that we do not want to affect the performance of the network. We bring you a big 10 gig pipe to your front door, and if anyone puts a bunch of security appliances on it, it becomes 1 gig or 100 meg. No matter how much vendors and the like to integrate it. We've done a couple of experimentation of ourselves. If you put inline security, it affects your performance unless you've got lots and lots of money. So what else can we do? Said, all right, we found out about this concept of a Csirt, a Computer Security Incident Response Team. It's also known as a CERT or a SOC, Security Operations Center. Different terminology, changes from year to year. Their definition that we use is up on the board. An organizational team that provides services and support to a defined constituency for preventing, handling, and responding to computer security incidents. We're saying, okay, we don't police our network, but we can monitor it. We can send out a firefighting team when there are incidents that occur. There's a lot that we can do on the network if there's outbreaks of malware or DDoSes and things like that coming in. And there's a lot that we can learn without having inline security devices. You can do proactive monitoring, you can have tap feeds, you can do IDS. There's a lot that you can do. So last year in May, we held a workshop. All of the institutions were invited. We got 18 represented out of the then 25, now 26 public universities. We had a couple of science councils there, 60 plus attendees. So it was quite well attended and by the right people, I'm pleased to say. We asked workshop attendees to, amongst other things, so what kind of incidents are you experiencing on your network? How many of these incidents are you seeing? As you can see on the board, most experiencing malware incidents, violation of information security policies. Spam was a surprising one because the question specifically said, okay, this means that you don't have a working anti-spam solution in place, so you're still getting spam in your normal mailboxes, etc. Okay, but 50%, you can see there in blue, experienced a major incident in the past 12 months. It's saying, okay, maybe there's something we can do to help you and to help each other. So this is an effort that's coordinated by ourselves with TNET. We proposed to the community that we establish a sector CSIRT, academic sector CSIRT, for the research and education institutions of South Africa. So that's the constituency in this case, as a coordinating CSIRT. The idea is that you all have, or should have, security team officers, maybe ad hoc. Some are advanced and have actually got SOC and CERT capabilities, but that's not very practical or feasible for everybody. Either way, the idea is that we talk to each other and that we help you do that, and especially liaise with international partners, with law enforcement, with other ISPs, whoever may be needed. So you're not just on your own. Okay. So what type of services can a CSIRT provide? 3 categories. Reactive services. This is to resolve and mitigate incidents as they're occurring. That's that sending out the fire squad to put out the fire. Proactive services are intended to prevent incidents from occurring in the first place. And then you get security quality management services. Those I don't want to go into detail here, and I put a ... because they can be performed by various departments, and they go all the way from risk management to vulnerability management and auditing and all sorts of other fun things. So following the workshop, we had 2 primary concerns. Number one is nobody has money for this, we all know, and this was before fees must fall, so now nobody really has money for this. And so they wanted a minimal model, and how badly do we really need this? So we managed to convince the community that there's value in this, even if you have your own security teams, just because we work very closely with TNET. TNET's part of this in any case, as the operators of the infrastructure, so we can do things on the network and the routers and stuff like that, which you don't have control over. So, for example, we can stop traffic at the border routers internationally versus you having to stop it at the gateway to your campus. In any case, this letter was sent out in March, and it basically just said that, okay, we've decided that we're going to split the CSIRT as a distributed embedded CSIRT between SANREN and TNET. TNET logically are going to be responsible for the reactive services. This makes sense because they operate the network. This will include information security incident handling, patching and maintenance of the SANREN infrastructure, so our own devices, servers, routers, switches, etc., and alerts and warnings of incident-related activity. You may have seen some of these on REN News. Early days still, but yes, we're building it up. The proactive services, so this is where SANREN are focusing. This is the team that I'm a part of. Information security audits and reviews, vulnerability scanning, and announcements of related matters. This is just the initial services. This can evolve as resources allow, and we welcome any inputs from the community as to what will be useful for us to do that will help you. Okay, I think I've said that, except that both of us will do some of the SQMS services like education and training and awareness. We want to organize some information security training transits for CSIRT teams, people new to CSIRT or wanting to establish CSIRTs. They've got some training courses there. We've got good context in that international community for that, so look out for that. There is a mailing list, by the way. If you send an email to this CSIRT@SANREN address and you ask, please put me on the mailing list. If you haven't, for example, if you didn't get that letter and you want to be included in emails like that, send that email address and email, and we'll add you to the list. Then you'll also find out about workshops or other initiatives that we're doing. Okay, that summarizes in more detail how the services are divided between TNET and SANREN. So TNET's CTO, Len Lotz, will act as the CSIRT manager for now, and then the rest of the services are divided between the network engineering staff as needed. SANREN have committed 1.5 FTEs to it. We are currently 2 people in the team that work about 70%, 75% on Csirt activities. We are getting a third person very soon. Okay, time is going quickly. If you need help with reactive services, you've got a malware outbreak, somebody's DDoSing you, or you've things that either you think would be useful for the NREN to know about and you're capable of handling on your own, or things that are out of your hands, out of control, and you need things to do on the NREN side, please send an email to knock@tenet.ac.za, or if it's very urgent, call that 24/7 hotline. Proactive services, you can contact us there, Csirt@SANREN.ac.za, to find out more information and to ask about services like vulnerability scanning and assessment. This is our first production service. It's based on Nessus and OpenVAS and other tools as needed or applicable, depending on what we find and what your requirements are. We provide external and internal scans, customized reports, and remediation advice. So, if you don't want to do what France Van them did, we can do it for you. Okay, and we also provide other tools. So, that's what you can contact us. We need permission to scan, a list of IP addresses, dates for the scan, and a security contact person. Okay, the first external scan is free. We've got a nice big cluster with a 10 gig network connection to SANREN. We're not too limited in CPUs and things. We'll do it from outside for you. You tell us how many addresses you want us to scan. We'll give you a nice report, and we will help you with remediation or advice or understanding if you need that. Additional scans will likely be charged for. We haven't figured out a charging model for that yet. But in the meantime, you can use your free one. Okay. I want to quickly show you a summary of what the report will look like, but note that this is from information security specialists. This is not just from an audit firm that doesn't necessarily know about IT and or information security and just wants to tick some compliance boxes against the standard. This is from people who exposed to the field on a day-to-day basis. Okay, front page. Index, there's a process. What methodology did we follow? How did we verify it? What did we find out from the different tools? What are the results, the vulnerabilities that require action, and then different other subheadings depending on your environment. In this case, we found some vulnerable FTP servers, some vulnerable web servers, and some potential DDoS vulnerabilities. So each of those, you can see that this report is 16 pages. This is for 1,400 IP addresses. So compare that to the raw output that OpenVAS is going to give you. It's much more understandable, readable. We correlate all of the let's say common vulnerabilities into one list, and we say, okay, here's 50 vulnerable systems. They're all vulnerabilities, so you can resolve them by doing the same thing. So instead of going and finding it 50 different times, you find it in one place, you can task it to one person. They say, okay, just do the same thing on all of these 50 systems, and then it's patched. So we give results of our preliminary findings. What did we find? What ports did we find open? Especially if there's surprising things that you weren't expecting there. Then we can tell you, or you can ask us, you can say, okay, this is our IPs, these are the services and everything you're running. We can tell you, but this isn't one of your listed services, maybe you should check it out. That's very useful for things like the port map or RPC bind vulnerability. If you're not remotely mapping NFS shares and you've got that port running, then there's a vulnerability. You probably want to close it up or firewall it at least. So this is an example of the vulnerability scan results. I've masked all IPs, that's why there's X, Ys, and Zs and stuff there. But it says, okay, this is the list of systems that's vulnerable to that CVE. That's a description. Did we test to verify it or not? If you want us to try and exploit vulnerabilities using Metasploit or something like that, we'll do it for you. It can disrupt services, so we will not do it without consulting you. We actually did find in our scans quite a lot of false positives. It could be because there was a lot of infrastructure in the specific network infrastructure in the specific SAN, and we also find that sometimes it just says, okay, this operating system with this version of Apache or so has got this vulnerability, flag it. But then you find that the way it's configured means it's actually not vulnerable anymore, and you can't find all of those without manual verification. So we do that to a limited degree. It depends on what makes sense, how many systems are involved, but we at least try and do a first round filter. Okay, so vulnerabilities that require action, we said, okay, there was a default username and password at this router. Okay, that's what this is, the username, that's the password we found. Okay. There's some vulnerable FTP servers. So this is the types of vulnerabilities you found, why they're vulnerable in the different versions. You list them there, the CVEs, and what you can do about it. That's that service. If you want to make use of it, send us an email. We'll schedule your free scan for you. And then we can take further discussions, following that. Possible future services that we're looking at specifically from the proactive side. Intrusion detection, anti-spam, blacklists from honeypots, consulting. If you need help, you want to build a SOC or a Csirt, we've got quite a lot of experience in it. Contact us. We can at least give you literature and things to read. We can consult with you if you need that. Any other ideas? I was hoping to be a bit quicker and discuss this a little bit, but I would say thanks, and send me an email if you've got ideas. Either Roderick at SANREN.ac.za or Csirt@SANREN.ac.za. Watch our website in the next 3 months. We plan to have that live. I don't know if Warren is here for the next talk. Okay. So does that mean that officially my talk's over? Thank you very much for listening. But if somebody wants to ask me questions, we have 5 minutes, which means you can also go in and out as you please. I don't mind. Does nobody want a free scan? You're interested? Guys, what you must understand about the costing and charges is, especially if you want something like an internal scan, it costs money to fly people around to accommodation and that sort of things. We have a limited budget, and our main mandate is to roll out the network, which benefits everybody. We're not trying to make profit out of it. If we charge for these kind of services, it's really cost recovery. It's going to cost you the same thing to have your own guys doing it than what it's going to cost us. We don't charge, consulting engineer rates and that kind of thing. And like I said, most of the thing, it'll be basically to cover expenses. Yes. No, but obviously it must be in your domain space. If you can give us $1 million, cool. We would like to test our systems. Look, obviously from an external scan, if they're not publicly accessible or public facing, that doesn't help. But sure, if all of your computer labs have public internet addresses, sure, then give us as many as you can. Your report will be a little bit longer, but hey, unless you don't have many vulnerabilities, because it's actually proportionate to the amount of vulnerabilities, not to the amount of systems that you scan initially. Okay, and of course we can give you the detailed output if you want that too. So you don't only just get the 15 or 20 page summary. We can give you the 6,000 or 7,000 line one if you want that too. The idea of the summary is to make it easily digestible and actionable. You don't have to go and interpret and research everything. Anyone else? Okay. Thanks very much. Please be in touch if any of this is interesting or relevant to you. Not just for the vulnerability scanning, but any of the other Csirt activities.